unakwenda pale, that's what you need to have. Get somebody, retired runner, and say, okay, this is what to expect. Weather, elevation, all this stuff, you know, shoes and all this stuff. And the expectation is
most of the runners are running outside of the country making money. They're running to those they're running meets in different countries. Uko pali ata McDo ama atapata sponsor.
Boston Marathon is happening.
I can't wait.
This Monday.
I cannot wait.
Yes, and that's why we're going to be having an abbreviated show today. What is it that needs to be done? I mean, of course, it took a gap, you know, like slightly before COVID, and then COVID happened. But what is it that we need to do to attract Kenyans to attend this event? Because here's the interesting part. We always have a winner in Boston Marathon. Looking the last, I don't know how many years, but we always have a winner.
Ali, it's simple. It's simple. You know, the thing is what? The thing is conversation. What you're doing right now. Having conversation about the Boston Marathon. Having conversation about this dinner.
Normalize it.
People wamezoea mwana kwa TV, right? You know, for people to sacrifice that Monday to come watch that race, we have to give them value for it. So how do we give them value for it? Have conversations about it. Create that interest. To sisi wenye tunaenda huko, we highlight, we show, we bring it out to the people, and it's going to attract people. At a rugby, haikuwa inavuta numbers hivyo.
No, yeah, that's
until tulienda for rugby was put there. Yeah. Hata watu walikuwa wakaanza kwenda rugby kwenda kudunda. And then until we started to study na kupush, guess what? We became the envy of everyone. Everybody wanted to be Kenyan with Kenyan fans. Everybody wanted to be, watu walikuwa wanajua hata nikienda Vegas lazima niende study siku moja na nijaza, and all those days the stadium was painted red. So it's the same thing. Pole too, maybe have conversation about it, highlight it, talk about it. We are the only people who can sell ours.
Yes.
Mtu mwingine.
I think Mika has nailed it. I think there has to be that conversation where we have to make it. We have to be intentional.
Yeah.
Have to be intentional. And every time we know, because this is a sport that we know, you know, chances are very high likely that we're going to medal, we're going to finish 1, 2, depending, you know, excluding the Ethiopians. But we have to be intentional to always publicize. Before a marathon, you know again, you know, it on this side, I don't know about the Kenyan side, because Kenya, they're going through their own shit.
Hey,
but on this side,
I
think
Ongea Duga radio.
That is why we won't make it to capital, so shit. On this side, we have to be intentional to push, attend, come through. Even if, you know, like at some point, you know, they used to have, like with rugby, used to have those, you know, like in Otieno V and like in Alex, they used to have that the before the
Top Kenya Connect,
Kenya Connect, something like that.
Kenya Connect,
you know, you have that Karibu Night or whatever.
Yes, that was very genius.
Yes, Dinner with Champions would be the equivalent of Karibu Night.
Correct.
Right, or have a Karibu Night on Friday. Then Saturday Dinner with Champions, hang out, whatever. Then Monday, we go support. But just creating that environment, being intentional in publicizing here and letting people know and try to make it an annual thing. You know, like what were Boston to Boston. What was Chicago? Because, you know, there's New York, there's Chicago, there's Boston. See, there are just 3.
No, there's Chicago, there's Boston, Tokyo, London.
I love Oregon.
Or the US.
I'm talking about the US.
Or the US.
The
top 3 is what you just
said.
But Oregon is also
Chicago,
there. It's a big amateur.
Chicago, New York, Boston, and then another one that we need to start selling is Oregon too. The World Championship.
So that one, you know, again, we have to be intentional. Once we know, as the dates approach, then we're like, yo, there's this event. Let's go. Let's do it. What are the guys on that side on that ground doing it?
If you plan it well,
you can do it.
well in time. It's not that
bigger deal, quote unquote. You know,
ni kujipanga tu.
Yes, you just jipanga. Mnaweza shikana na watu wawili, watatu, muende pamoja. You know, it makes
and then with people like Akina Top Gun on the ground over there in Chicago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Top Gun, they definitely can be, you know, a source like, yo, what can happen, what can get, can you plan for guys or whatever.
I think he normally has something. I think he normally does like an aphrodisiac during that weekend. Because he does,
so that,
you know, the Afro show once a month.
Then our part would be to be intentional in publicizing, like, you know what?
And I think also, you know, like looking at rugby, we also need to, you know, like try to learn from a few things that rugby did. Because before, for example, before these elite players come to play for the Sevens, they are somewhat already known in Kenya within their clubs. So I don't know how running happens locally in Kenya. So we typically see the trials. Those are the ones that make it to the news. I don't know whether we really have, you know, like running clubs. Like, let's say, for example, like if, let's say you're not an elite runner, like there's a club, you know, like the way you could be a soccer player, you're not elite, so you're not playing for Harambee Stars, but you're playing for Shabana, or you're playing for FC, you're playing for Gor.
Ali, you know the thing with running is why it's different. It's because as you remember, as Louis said, and as I said earlier, is that there are no running meets in Kenya.
Yeah.
Like the way you find the running meets over here. Like here you will find they always, that even from college, from even out of college, there are always meets that are happening. In Kenya, they are not. I think during Uhuru's time, we had like 2 or 3. The one where actually Omanyala became the fastest man in Africa.
Keno Classic.
The Keno Classic, right? So the running meets in Kenya are really less. Those meets, people will go. Now, majority of time in Kenya, people are in camp. Camp mostly are in North Rift, Iten, because we specialize in long distance running. And most people will not live their regular lives to just go camp to see how people are running and training and doing stuff. So if we had more meets in Kenya, then the sport would actually have a lot of like more interest in people following it the way there's rugby. You know, rugby has a whole season. And then after that season, there's a whole season of sevens again in Azunguka, right? And then after that, kuna tens. So there's always that. Soccer kuna a whole season ya soccer. Alafu after hiyo bado kuna ma high school competitions, kuna ma Coca-Cola hizi za provincials za 17, kuna Kotbiro Cup, kuna various senators, politician cups. Like there's always a game continuing, so the fan base is always entertained.
Yeah, but Mika,
athletics hawana hiyo.
Yeah, but
it's because there is no money. But hakuna hiyo pesa. Most of the runners are running outside of the country making money. They're running to those they're running meets in different countries. Uko pali atamekdo ama atapata sponsor. Bandio.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like in Nafikiri, I'll go back to what Uno said about being intentional. And this is not about what you're saying, it's how you're saying. Look at American footballers. Wana games ngapi kwa mwaka?
They have like 16. Is it 16 games?
They have 16,
right?
17,
18. 17 games, right?
18.
Now but the way they do it, any sports, I'll have music. I'll give an example like Bongo Flava. Bongo Flava was just POS until when, those musicians.
And it was what?
Until when musicians became, became broadcasters, right? So it only makes sense when, like, I don't know much about football, right? But when somebody there, I don't know, Tom Brady or whoever was a retired quarterback is telling me what to expect from Josh Allen versus, Kansas Chief quarterback, at least you have a picture of what to expect and then watch and then come back the analysis after. And that's what we're missing.
Yeah,
that's what you need to have. Get somebody, retired runner, and say, okay, this is what to expect. Weather, elevation, all this stuff, shoes, and all this
Generation
stuff. And the expectation is, if this person make it to this point, at this time, the chance is ataweza kuwin. To break the record, you have to make sure the first 20 miles or the first 10 miles umefanya hivi. Once you have that, people will have something to expect. Because I'm not going to watch people chasing wind for, 2 hours with nothing. But when you know that after 10 miles, you see he's going to drop his hands, he'll be breathing using this, you'll have something to look forward for those 2 hours, or maybe make a trip to go there. And sometimes it'll be like, if you're there, you can either be at the beginning, somewhere in the middle, or at the end. Unajua? So where do you want to be and why? Do I want to be at the end to see how they sprint to finish, how they start? Do I want to watch them when doing their climbing? Just like if you watch, let's say, Tour de France, around, people will tell you what to expect, even the weight of the bicycle, spokes, the size of the rim, all this stuff. Kwa unajua kwamba I will be on stage 15 because hapa kuna slope ambazo nataka kuangalia. So when one might say being intentional, I think that's the biggest thing. Leo hii mkienda pale mkapata watu wakaanza kuichambua kwamba to win this marathon you need this, with this weather itakuwa hivi, huyu alikimbia previous marathon kwa hiyo atakuwa amechoka, the chances huyu anaweza kashinda, all this stuff. Kwa sababu honestly you're not expecting everybody to be expert katika kila mchezo.
Okay, hapa there's a quick report from a website called Watch Athletics. And it's on the men's elite field. It says that the 2024 Boston Marathon, Kenyan's Evans Chebet is not just another elite runner. He's on the brink of making history.
You see that?
Chebet, age 35, aims to be the first man in 16 years to secure 3 consecutive victories in Boston. Because remember, he's won the last 2 Boston Marathons. So that's very important for people to know. His previous triumph in 2023 over marathon great Eliud Kipchoge with a finishing time of 2:05:54 has put him alongside all-time greats. However, having not raced since last year due to injury, his condition remains a question mark. This opens the door for strong contenders like Ethiopia's Sisay Lema, who boasts a recent 2:01:48 win in Valencia, and surprise, Tanzania's Gabriel Guy, last year's runner-up, and Kenya's Albert Korir, a top performer in both New York and Boston, with ideal weather conditions forecasted. This year's race could be a thrilling showdown. So this is on the men's race.
So now imagine, you have a retired guy, in Kenya, pre-game, pre-run, or even a build-up to the run, saying all this.
Yes.
Right? Just saying all this, like breaking down the runners.
Yeah.
This are his strength, this is his weakness, this is what this guy needs to do, this is how he needs to build up or whatever. So and so, this, that, the other. You do the men, you do the women, and then you build up that way. And what you expect, like we watch soccer a lot. Usually before the game starts, what happens? You're asked, what do you think the final score is going to be?
Yeah.
Or Mosh, what do you think the final score is going to be? And it's not just soccer.
And why?
And why? Even NFL, the same thing. But you're building up. And then when the game starts, you have someone like Tony Romo. That's what you meant. When I'm being intentional, because so they bring in someone like Tony Romo, who gives you. You can't even predict the next play that is going to happen.
Uno, let me tell you guys something that will piss you off. Do you know that this used to happen long time ago in Kenya?
Yes.
Before it used to happen. Like there was sports analysis. There were even they were bringing Gillette Sports Special, and then I remember there was a sports analysis Kenyans by Kenyan nini and they will interview different people.
Yeah.
Wanaitwaje Kadenge, and they will bring them and they will interview them. All these things used to happen. But guess what? Money from sports was taken out, and sports vile alisema sports ikakuwa to the news stations. Sports became a stepping stone. It was where you as a rookie journalist
unarushwa sports.
Yes.
Unarushwa sports alafu unaenda polepole ukipanda mpaka juu. So
and then if you're too talented in sports, if you're too talented, like what happened to Aiga Mwaura, nenda politics. Nenda kakwe anchor main news. Problems.
But here politics is a totally different. Actually there's a sports journalism.
That's right. one of the best Kenyan sports journalists, Wahiga Mwaura, who had award-winning stories on sports. Citizen wakamwambia, umetosha mboga sasa. They made him, like a news anchor. Regular news, because waliona, and that's what happens.
And then you start interviewing kuhusu mbolea na mchanga.
There you go. Yeah.
So the thing is, they don't see the value of doing sports analysis. The way for them, it's better they announce a headline story that's already there and then announce scores and results and go. Announce who was in the squad and go.
And that one is anyone, not even a sports anchor. It's anyone who announces those scores.
It's anyone who announces. So so these days in Kenya, when you want sports analysis, put up a YouTube or from podcasts where people are trying to speak about them, and I'm really glad to see that they're not just delving in the traditional sports. You'll find that there are Formula One podcasts from Kenyans in Kenya who are actually watching the game. Kuna wa tennis, kuna wa golf. I've not seen an athletic one. I'd really love to see an athletic podcast.
Nice.
And
Chief Louis.
And I hope from there, where these people who are actually sports enthusiasts and they give their own analysis from their own eyes, can at least push, maybe the media houses will try to add to that, and the interest should be there. So the fact that hata kuna hizo meets zenye nasema, just they have more reason of why not to have that analysis of sports.
But you might blame these media houses is the shit stream that's generated by the devil.
The system is also generated that way because the media houses in Kenya make revenue when they politic.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And then now when we go to now the women's in Boston, this is again from Watch Athletics. It says in the women's race, Kenya's Hellen Obiri is the standout favorite, defending her title and looking ahead to her first Olympic marathon in 2024. The field this year is described as one of the deepest in the history of the Boston Marathon, featuring elite athletes such as Ethiopia's Woknesh Defaga, past champion and always a formidable competitor, alongside Kenya's Edna Kiplagat, who has won Boston twice. Also in the mix are the USA's Caroline Rotich. I wonder, where Caroline Rotich is really from. And then 2015, a Boston Marathon winner, Cissy Lema, fresh from her Valencia Marathon victory. With perfect running conditions on the horizon, the stage is set for a compelling and fiercely competitive race. So, yes. So here, I do see some good potential of having a Kenyan winner on both the men and the women's side. But the Ethiopians also have a very, very strong team that they've brought out to Boston. So I think, when we go to the dinner with champions, see Ethiopians watakuja. Let's make sure we introduce them to foods that are going to give them gas. Kama maragwe hivi nini. Because they'll be Kenyan and Ethiopian food.
Mashakura?
They'll be Kenyan and Ethiopian food.
Unasema mashakura ukiniangalia?
Sorry.
Nonsense.
Let's introduce them to foods that will confuse their
body, the system.
Yeah, wakienda kurest now.
They know what not to eat. They know what not to eat. Hiyo nudo moja na 2 gallons ya nani? No, they're not. The issue is
2 gallons of water.
Guys, running.
I'm not
sure how many of you have tried it. Marathon or half marathon. Sijajua wangapi mmeshakimbia, but man, nimefanya hizi mbio fupi man. That thing is tough.
It's an ultimate test
now,
on a human body.
You will get to appreciate those people even more. The issue is kuna watu watakaa studio kule wapi hajawahi hata kufanya quick walk ile, lakini nataka kuzungumzia marathon. Ndio maana it's very important wale ambao walipata kufanya hivi vitu wawe sehemu ya kuzungumzia. It's like hata ukiwa unaangalia boxing, akiwa amekaa pale Linux Lewis atakwambia unaona amefungua mdomo, what does that mean? Umeona alivyoyumba, what that means? Amedrop mkono, hiyo inaweza kumaanisha nini? Afu unaweza
badio ni katu vile aliuchekeleonana.
Oh yeah.
No, me.